I'm Vish Mishra. I'm president of Thai Silicon Valley, and I want to extend you a very warm welcome to this evening's program. Just out of curiosity, how many people are totally new for the first time to Thai? I just want to see a show of hands. 2 people. Or 3. Okay, so whosoever brought you, you ask them to give you a 1-minute education about Thai, maybe 2. Okay, see how knowledgeable they are. Okay, and if you came on your own, then let me just tell you a little bit. So, did you have a sponsor? Somebody brought you, or you came alone?
I've come along as a guest of the other.
And you are new too. Okay, both are okay. All right. Well, anyway, very simply, this is the 20th year for Thai. Thai was started right here in Silicon Valley 20 years ago by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. And the whole genesis of it is a lot of us from South Asian origin, they came to America in the 60s and 70s, and we said, gee, this country is great or what? We succeeded beyond our wildest imaginations, and we said, well, whatever we had to do to get to wherever we were, wouldn't that be nice if we form a society and help anybody who want to succeed as entrepreneurs? And that has been the sole mission of Thai since the beginning. And what has happened, in 20 years now, right from Silicon Valley, we have now fanned out into 14 countries now. Our latest chapter in Germany and 57 cities. So that's kind of just awesome stuff that we have done in general at Thai. And the core of this organization is what we call the charter members, and these are the highly accomplished, successful people in business and life who also have another rare quality, and that is they're very generous with their time and assistance to help others. So you have to meet 2 distinctive criteria to become a Thai charter member, and globally we have about 2,000 of such people. Here in Silicon Valley we have about 300 such people. So if you go to our website and take a look at the charter member, look at the list, and you'll just be impressed who is who. But these people generously give their time as well as their money to this organization. So they serve as the attractants, and they attract anybody who wants to be an entrepreneur or want to improve their profession or career, and so they join Thai. So we call them members/entrepreneurs. I don't know how many members are here, but if I can have a show of hands. Okay, there you go. We got about half the crowd is just Thai members. Thank you very much for being a member. And then we also have some charter members. I want to see, I know at this table we got some Manoj is over there, Prabhakar is sitting there. Of course, Naveen is here. I see back there. Nilesh is Blackberry or whatever he's doing, he's busy. Okay, Nilesh, thank you. Sham, where is Sham go?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go, yeah. So anyway, these are the people who are the accomplished people and who have genuine interest in helping others. So please look them up. And the third constituency that we have, which is the core is the charter members. Then they get surrounded by the members and entrepreneurs. But then we invite all the other people from the venture capital community, from the professional services like the legal, banking, insurance, corporations, and they come in as sponsors. And we have about 20 of them, our annual sponsors, they sponsor us year round. I see Stan in the back there. Stan, would you please, he's with Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley is one of our sponsors of Thai. So thank you for being a sponsor. So how do we run our affairs? Very simply, our finances are supported by what we call the dues and the fees. All the members, charter members, you pay dues, and all the people who attend our programs up to the ThaiCon, they pay a fee. So sponsors, so the fees from $20, if you're a member, you pay $20, like tonight event, you pay $20. You got a good meal, you got a glass of wine and dessert, and you get 90 minutes of wonderful conversation and knowledge and advice. I mean, what a deal, right? Where can you get such thing like that? Okay, so please spread the word about Thai. That people come and say, it's really the best way to spend your time. And then, of course, the sponsors, they can be anywhere. I mean, up to $50,000. Again, but we call them just fees. They pay fee for the privilege to participate in the events that we do, and that basically comes around ThaiCon. So get the word out. And the other thing that I just want to do, so what we really do as a service, our service is all we do is just like the programs like this and the services we perform year round. And if you take a look at the last 3 years, we have milled 25,000 people have milled through our programs, including ThaiCons. But the programs like this combined, we pulled in about 5,500 people last year. So that's really amazing, and Naveen Best, actually I want to recognize him because he's our program chair and he never sleeps. He's out there trying to find anybody and everybody and who will be a good speaker and good topics and get the word out. And so Naveen, thank you very much for really doing a wonderful job with all the programs. And the programs are just two types. So one is the program that you know more about the industry that you're interested in. So social, mobile, cloud, energy, health sciences, these are the activities that we conduct these days on that side. And the second one is just the basic entrepreneurs program. Anything that will inspire you, anything that will educate you, anything that will prepare you, or anything that will fund you for your ventures. So those are the programs that we do. So tonight's program that we are having and is about on the inspiration category. And credit goes to Naveen again. He can tell more about this program, but I'll just say that last March he started it. He spearheaded the program, My Story. And the idea was to bring successful entrepreneurs who have had more recent exits with their business. So I mean, they have really succeeded in business through an exit. That was one of the criteria we chose. And we're very fortunate that we have tonight the 10th? 11th, okay, you see, he's counting, so he's baby, right? Yeah. So our 10th, speaker is Anand, that Naveen is going to bring him on the stage for us in a minute. But one thing I will say about these people, the people that we feature the counting tonight, these people combined, I think the exit value of the businesses, I think it's about 1.6 billion maybe or more, close to 2 billion. So these people have accomplished collectively a $2 billion worth of exit in terms of financial exit. But in terms of their stories, I mean, everybody's story is just so unique and so individual. So it's like, a lot of people say, well, show me a CEO, and what is the ideal qualification for a CEO or ideal qualification entrepreneur? The reality is, okay, you can parade 100 entrepreneurs in a room, and you'll find that they all have something very unique. So it's very difficult to kind of bottle the secret sauce that you have, what makes someone an entrepreneur or makes someone a wonderful executive. But the good news is that, okay, when we hear the stories and from these people, we all get inspired, we all get educated, and we say, gee, there was one little nugget I picked up. So I'm pretty sure each one of you today, I guarantee you're going to pick up something from Anand's story. And so with that, I just want to say, stay tuned, keep looking at the TIE website. A lot of programs are happening. We announce our programs well in advance. I think we have one on the mobile thing on Thursday. So if you're interested in mobile, that's happening. And then we got things happening on life sciences. We have things happening on the video, real-time video stuff. So we got a lot of programs that are coming. So stay tuned and keep showing up over here. So with that, let me just introduce, bring Naveen to the podium, and Naveen will introduce our chief guest and the top entrepreneur of the night. Okay, Naveen, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Let's give a big round of applause to Vish. Thank you. Vish is our chief volunteer, chief cheerleader, and chief executive officer with zero salary here. So he doesn't get paid. He pays to TIE organization, and then I've been always impressed by his infinite amount of this optimistic attitude, and he's always happy. I mean, you look at his pictures outside. I've never seen him like thinking or sad, which is great. So thank you, Vish, and obviously that inspires volunteers like me and a lot of all the charter members as well as members. So now let me ask you, are you guys having fun?
Yeah.
You can have another glass of wine. We said only one glass of wine. Actually, you can have more than one, So there is no limit there as long as they don't run out of the bottles. So let me ask you a question. How many of you are programmers? Or word programmers? Okay, well, there are a number of hands, but do you guys write code, or are you just saying you're programmers just because you got a degree? Okay, anyway, so how many of you contribute to the open source community? Wow, that's wonderful. So if some of you who enjoy coding, who still love programming, so I think it may still be not too late before you start contributing to the open source community. The reason is it may as well inspire you to start your next highly successful and disruptive startup. next, or I guess the first one, in case, I'm sure you're here, so you want to get inspired to either, go across you're just sitting on the fence, just go start full-time job. I hate my boss, but I want to do something, so just go do it. Okay, so this is what Anand did. Anand not only disrupted the disrupted storage industry by open source distributed technology with a small team of hackers and turned it into a leading open source distributed software company. And he started Gluster in 2005 with, like I said, a very small team of hackers, and he has no background in storage. Actually, I don't want to take his thrill, he'll tell you that self. And if you know a lot of storage guys, if you meet someone from NetApp, EMC, they say storage is the toughest thing. I don't know why they talk about blocks or whatever. And those who know the storage lingo, and those guys will say it's such a tough market, and kind of makes sense. You ask a lot of VCs on the Sand Hill Road, including Viz. He's in Palo Alto now, before he used to be in Sand Hill Road. So you ask them, a lot of VCs invested into a lot of storage companies, and they say there is a bloodbath along Highway 101. So that kind of makes sense. But if you think about that, and at the same time, Anand Babu, and he also loves to be called AB, so you can call him AB or, as long as it's not ABCD, AB or Anand. So he really turned Gluster into a highly successful company. Gluster grew virally across the internet. It powered major content delivery networks, and at the same time, a lot of well-known internet application vendors like Pandora, Box.net. And then guess what? Last year, the leading open source vendor, which is only, I think, one, which has crossed $1 billion in revenue last year, because many of them were also questioning how could an open source software company make money. So Red Hat Software bought his company later part of last year, and right now he's CTO of the cloud storage business BU over there. And before Red Hat, Anand was CTO at California Digital. I see he's another co-founder there. And BJ is sitting there. I had an opportunity to meet with him earlier also, where he was working on basically scaling the commodity cluster computing into supercomputing scale performance, according to his bio, so which he can explain later. So anyway, I'm not going to take any more of his thrills. And at the same time, obviously, one more thing I want to still repeat is that he's an avid contributor to the open source community. So that's probably your inspiration tonight if you want to go back. And by the way, there is a website called codeacademy.com, and you can start getting free lessons every weekend. Michael Bloomberg from New York also signed up this year. So there is your opportunity. From there, learn and then contribute to open source community. With that, let me invite our exciting entrepreneur, Anand, over here to share his amazing and colorful entrepreneurial journey with us tonight. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Thank you, Naveen. I can talk for hours and hours on the technical side like a politician, but not like if it is non-technical, I struggle, stammer. How many of you paid to hear my talk here? Oh boy.
You're trying to get all the wine.
Okay. And there's no proper structure to my talk. It probably looks like a Facebook timeline. Just though, Naveen told me, think about your entrepreneurial experience when you were a kid, something you did that's relevant here. I thought about it. None of them are true. I never sold anything as a kid, no lemonade, nothing. I didn't go to IIT. I didn't go to any business school, and I'm not a dropout. Probably the only thing that differentiates that I feel is I see empty glass full. And this is how I feel inside. It was really in I think when I was in my eighth standard, I saw computers, and it was actually a Spectrum Basic Interpreter. I don't know if you have seen them, and PCXT. until then I was like good at everything other than studies, and when I saw computers, it was like love at first sight. And I felt like I can talk to machines and make it do whatever I want, and the possibilities were endless. And I just fell in love with it, just that concept that I can talk to machines. And I started buying books. I started like from basic to assembly language to operating systems. I started reverse engineering things because at that time I didn't have any internet. I didn't have enough books, particularly like in southern part of India. The town I was from, it's a small town called Metrodam. In actually, it's not a dam. The city is called Metrodam. People always wonder. Most of it was like self-taught. I started learning on my own, and from 1995 to 99, I went to Annamalai University, and since that's where much of my learning was. I started reverse engineering netware because for most people in the lab, it was just a PC running DOS. They didn't even know that they were all connected behind by an operating system. And netware is a very well written operating system. It's not something I liked, but that's all I had. And I started writing my own, after reverse engineering, I started understanding the interrupts. I started writing my own protocol stacks like IPX, SPX, NetBIOS. And then I wrote my own applications on top of my stack. And nobody really cared what I was doing. Nobody understood what I was doing. I think once I was seeing one of my friends, he wrote a graphics program, and in a small screen, it was a huge helicopter. It was taking off and disappearing in the screen, and then appearing again from the other side of the screen and landing. So I took it's not any special effect, it's real. So I took that program, and within 15 minutes, I was actually able to turn it into a network-wide program where it took off from the screen. I asked my friends to just free all the computers in the lab for some time, and it took off from one screen, and with sound effect, it was like passing screen to screen to screen across the machine and landed on one machine. And in the next 30 minutes, everyone from my department was there asking me to repeat. Since then, anyone who came to the lab, like my head of the department always asked me to rerun that program. It wasn't about all the hard work I did writing my own protocol stacks, even introducing, DOS did not even allow me to run my protocol stack. It's a single tasking operating system. I had to bring in multitasking capability on top of it so I can run in background and bring all these capabilities. That's not the highlight. The highlight is that visual effect, right? But it didn't matter, right? Like I even cut my class and sit inside the lab. I was even during my holidays, lab was my temple, my home, everything. And I got a job in NewGen. NewGen is a document management software company. I got through campus. My mother thought that even there, actually I didn't pass in I had arrears, and what happened was, I failed in COBOL. That's the first programming language. And what happened was, in the program code section, I actually wrote the password of my staff. I thought he's the one going to correct my papers, and it wasn't him. Actually, the password was RC Bruce Lee and RC Jet Li, and unfortunately, my head of the department corrected the papers, and he's very particular about all these things. He thought I was joking. I was not taking things seriously, and he failed me in that paper. And at that same time, mathematics was so complicated that a lot of questions were out of the subject, and anyone who failed only in mathematics, they made them pass. But unfortunately, I also failed in COBOL, so I carried that till the end. My mother thought I'm not going to get a job in campus. She was thinking probably she will sell the home and go to a remote place, take care of me. Fortunately, I got this job through campus, and open source played a big role. Around that time when I was in college, one of my friends, he worked for Netscape, and he met me and he gave me a book about hackers. It was Hackers Heroes of Computer Revolution, and the last of that chapter is actually the last of true hackers, and it was about Richard Stallman, that he leaving MIT to start this GNU project, which is writing complete free operating system. what we see today as Linux is basically, it started from the GNU project. And, and that book ended with just Stallman leaving MIT to start this project. And like even today, if I read that book, I'll cry, that what he went through. And that fascinated me. I thought, like, that's exactly what I wanted to do. I believed in it. Free software, it's about, software is like ideas, right? If I have an idea, I give you idea, we exchange idea. We both now have two ideas. But if it is an apple we exchange, we still have only one apple. Software should not be treated like material. All these industrial revolution, the copyright laws and patents, they don't actually apply for software. I actually felt software is a tool. It should be applied to for the rest of the technology, rest of the field, be it mechanical, civil. They all should prosper, right? Here we see only the guy who wrote the operating system vendor, pretty much the richest man. That software guy is making all the money, but it wasn't helping the world so much. I really thought software should be free, and it allows, once knowledge is free, software is free, it allows collaboration, and we can prosper at a much faster rate. There are better things to do than starting yet another e-greetings company or some cloud company. Avoid duplication. We can do powerful things, right? I strongly believed in it. Particularly all the work I wrote on my NetWare operating system, all of them went, because NetWare went out of business. I started, I got a copy of Red Hat Linux CD. It came, I didn't have internet, right? So that was the only CD I got, because it was distributed for free along with PC Quest. And then network card did not get recognized. I had the operating system source. I was able to fix it, and that was, I felt that power. That moment you have operating system code, you can pretty much do anything. That nothing stops you, right? Because you have, now again the possibilities are only like, you are limited by your imagination. After I finished, like I was in Newgen, right? That time, even at that time I didn't have money to buy a computer. I took a loan, and I was like, it's a very old low-end PC, and I had to pay over a period of 5 months. But I had this operating system source code. All the problems that were left impossible in that company, I was able to fix them. I told my boss that it doesn't matter to you, you're not paying for this operating system, it's free, and I was able to solve some of the most complicated problems. And then they let me free, and only the most complicated problems they will call me. And then that was a fun job. I was like sitting at home and hacking free software. Everything was going great. It was in 1999. And one of my friend, Mark Zack-Smith, came to India to do social service. And he told, like, I felt bad, like he's there to do social service. In fact, I had an offer to join Altion Networks at that point of time. I rejected that offer and then quit my job to join him to do social service. Of course, we have to pay our bills, right? Then we realized, okay, we'll take a part-time job, and that's where I found BJ Arun. He's sitting here. He started a supercomputing company, Linux clustering company in Bangalore, and they were doing supercomputing research. And then that sounded nice, so we joined there, and it was on free software, right? And since then, like BJ actually brought me here. We were talking to VA Linux to offload some of their operating system related work, and VA Linux went out of business. BJ convinced them to basically, like, we ended up acquiring VA Linux. And since then, basically, all of the work we were doing on the operating system side allowed these enterprises like Synopsys, GE, Boeing to move away from powerful RISC Unix machines, which were also very, very expensive. Even though they were powerful, they didn't scale as big as they wanted. We were hacking Linux kernel, making a lot of enhancements, so we were able to migrate them off of these RISC Unix machines. And that work slowly led to building supercomputers. We'll go into that soon. And this is what happened in 2004. All of the work led to scaling of operating system. Much of the work was left in the software layer. The commodity computing, just throwing lots of boxes, it was simple. If you brought all of them together with a very good networking, low latency networking, you can build a powerful supercomputer. Supercomputer vendors laughed at us. They told, no, this is not supercomputer. It has to be a NUMA class machine or a vector machine. This is just a distributed computing. for us, it didn't matter. Does it solve the problem? Can you crunch large numbers? Yes, you can. And then we are proceeding on it. And it's not our idea. This is how a lot of universities, national labs are already doing it. Where we specifically contributed was enhanced operating system side to make it manageable across thousands of nodes, where these nodes can fail. You don't even know whether your results are correct, because it took even say 1 week to finish the job, and even if there was a double bit parity error, your results are wrong, and you cannot tell whether you got the right result just by looking at those numbers. It was extremely important to bring platform manageability, intelligent platform management stack. We also brought in machine, we wrote drivers in Linux to take advantage of some of these new technologies Intel introduced in Itanium. Finally, we were able to scale beyond 1,000 nodes. So this is, even though it was number 2 in the world, it was significant in many ways. It was the first time a commodity supercomputer was more efficient than a NUMA class supercomputer. We were 87% efficient. And it was also the first time that a supercomputer grew, commodity-based supercomputer grew beyond 1,000 nodes. It had 4,096 processors. And it was a fraction of cost. It made perfect sense. But of course, you can't make money from the hardware business. It's really, really hard. BJ realized that, and then he decided to move on to software business. And then I was again jobless, because it's very hard to make money out of free software. It was also I was just a hacker. The last thing I wanted to be was to be an entrepreneur. Even all kinds of incidents. BJ has horror stories that you don't want to hear from him. we have fact. Apple, for example, was telling me that when iTunes was launched, you pay for the music, it's your music, but then they DRM protect it, and then they give it back to you. You are limited to play on only the specific number of PCs, make specific copies. So for me, it's not about the DRM protection, it's about the fair use part of the copyright law. If I cannot play those DRM protected music on my GNU/Linux operating system. So one another hacker, he was anonymous, he wrote code to actually remove the DRM protection and then dump it as a regular music. Apple went after him and then killed that project. They removed all traces of the project, source code, everywhere it was gone. He took that project to India, and then there it was launched at a source code site called Sarovar. In India, we don't have DMCA law, right? Still, Apple is a big company. Apple threatened them, and the project was taken off again there. I was so furious. BJ was still paying me. I was working for him. And BJ was also doing business with Apple. For me, it wasn't about illegal. It's actually legal. DMCA says that because copyright law also talks about fair use and then DMCA. If you reverse engineer it and use it for interoperability reasons, if it is fair use, it is completely legal. Apple didn't realize that. Apple was just threatening everyone. I took over the project and officially said, I am the maintainer. Here is my address. I'm in the United States. If you have issues, we will see you in the court. And Free Software Foundation, Electronic Frontier Foundation, and all these individuals, they were willing to back me, and I was saying, I'm not back. So even Richard Stallman told, don't do this when you're in the United States, go to India and do it. I was single, right? And it didn't matter because I felt it was wrong. And there's no point in hiding. If I'm hiding, they're going to hunt me down. So I was willing to face it openly, because I knew what I was doing was right. I couldn't even find a site to host that project. And finally, Electronic Frontier Foundation found a sysadmin who has worked for them before. He agreed. He said he will join me in the court or come to jail together. Finally, we launched it, and we 250,000 downloads in just 12 hours. It peaked its bandwidth. Across the internet, it became very popular. A lot of people downloaded. Since then, it gave confidence. Apple backed off. Apple did not open a word because the Free Software Foundation, open source community, everyone was backing it. And this time we were bold. We were challenging them openly. And Apple finally backed off. And you remember Steve Jobs once later said, music should be free. that's exactly what we were trying to tell. Right? But that's the kind of person I was. And you can imagine how nightmare it is to do business with people like me. So we were jobless again, right? So, I tried to look for a job because the last thing I wanted to be was start a company and be an entrepreneur because I had no DNA of that. And it was not just me. I have a team who are like-minded like me, who all quit their job and joined me so that they can hack free software. And whenever I tried to ask for a job, I told I have a team and you have to pay for all of them and we will only hack free software. And I couldn't find such a job. And another employee from California Digital, and his brother-in-law is also a very wealthy man and angel investor, Anil Godwani. So Anil and Hitesh told me, why don't we start a business together? And Anil believed in people, so he said, I don't care what you do. He was guiding us in terms of how to start business, everything else, and here is an opportunity that I can once again get paid to hack software. And I took that. We had no idea what we were going to do. In fact, the idea cluster came from GNU cluster. We thought probably it will be cool, let's take one of these most challenging problems. Previously, we built supercomputer. One thing that's unique about us is we have no fear. Probably we are naive, but we have no fear. I told you I couldn't afford to buy a computer on my own in 1999. I was able to build United States' fastest supercomputer in 2004. I felt that, particularly in the Bay Area, right, it's land of opportunities. You're just limited by your imagination. Whatever you want to do, you can. And so once again, with the cluster, we thought probably we saw that hardware was very hard to do, like as business. So let's focus on the software stack, and people are willing to pay. In terms of business model, it was very simple. If you create value for the customers, they are going to pay you. It's about creating value for customers, and we will create value. So we thought that from the supercomputing side, we thought it was all a software problem, right? So let's take a Red Hat like distribution and make it a supercomputing class operating system, basically bringing shared memory, NUMA class ability at the software layer, RDMA like technology was getting commonly available as InfiniBand and 10 gigabit. We thought it was time to make operating system ready for such a platform. Meaning, instead of making 4 processor, 8 processor, 16 processor like supercomputer, put together lots of commodity PCs, make Linux kernel run as a distributed operating system. And it will communicate via low latency RDMA protocol. We thought that was so cool, but that would have been a disaster if we proceeded on that. Because you can see VMware, Red Hat, KVM, like technologies, what they're trying to tell you is take a PC and then partition it to make it look like multiple computers. And industry likes that. It didn't make sense to make multiple machines work as single large machine. Like few companies like 3Leaf, Panta Systems, and try to do this on the commodity scale. Industry is not looking for that. So so this is how we started, right? We decided to start cluster at Starbucks, and then we were better than HP. We turned Hitesh's bedroom into our head office. And it was also our data center. It was very hard to make phone calls because all the servers were just under our desk. His electricity bills were running high, but the only motivation was we got like homemade tea, all snacks on time, and it was great. Customers did not mind. What happened was within like first few months of the company, this Venezuelan state-owned oil corporation called PDVSA, they came to us and told, we want you to do the same thing. We want you to help us migrate from IBM Regatta to Linux, Intel, commodity-based supercomputer. And they told, we'll give you $500,000 just for the prototype and only software. Hardware, we told you go buy from Intel directly. And $500,000 was a lot of money for a startup, right? And we were writing code at the customer side and on customer time, like customer paid us to do this. The computing part was very easy. That's what we have been doing all along. In a couple of months, we were able to finish that. But then we were left with a huge problem that computers were not scaling because the data was very slow. In fact, they were manually getting data from their tape center, and it took 2 weeks to process any tape and get it out. They had like 1.2 petabytes of seismic data sitting on these tapes. They told that they have a lot more oil today. If they dig deeper, they have bigger reservoirs, and they also have today better technology to do reservoir simulation, but they couldn't process it because they were not able to scale. And the data was like all locked in tapes, right? And they also told us that the data is very, very important. It's not like supercomputer where if you lost it, you can rerun the job and generate the data. This time it was extremely important. And no NetApp ENC like box can handle that because they are designed to handle databases. Databases are structured data. Like 1 terabyte of database is lot of it, right? Lot of data. 1 petabyte is 1,000 times, 1,024 times that 1 terabyte. And that was only the beginning. They actually had a lot more data than that. And when we spoke to other guys at Houston and across the data centers, everyone had reported the same problem. We cannot scale our computing anymore. If you add more machines, they are all waiting for the I/O to complete, and storage is all stuck. They all told us one thing, I want, approximately simplified term. I want 10 times bigger and 10 times faster, and I will pay 1/10 of what I'm used to paying. And this was a tough problem. We were once again seeing ourselves like how we face the supercomputing challenge, right? I looked around, and writing file systems is considered notoriously complicated. As it is, you're now doing what you don't want to be. That's an entrepreneur. You're running a business, and the worst thing you can do as an entrepreneur is build a storage company. And here now, this customer told us to solve this problem. I looked around, and there was no file system that can be reliable and scalable to handle that kind of data. And we have 6 months of time. Customer again paid us. Hardware is in front of us. We decided we will write a file system from scratch. From 0 lines of code to production in 6 months. And any computer science engineer will tell you that that's the craziest thing you can do. And other option was to fail because there was nothing else that can solve this problem. We took on. And I also had operating system experience. It's an operating system unheard of. It's called HURD, H-U-R-D. And it's a very powerful operating system, too ahead of its time. So what Resolver Foundation was trying to develop in place of Linux kernel, it never took off, but it had very powerful ideas. And I had experience with that. It's a microkernel-based operating system. So I brought some of these ideas and ended up building a distributed storage operating system in user space. We had a lot of powerful ideas, but our main message was storage should be simple. Why do you need Brocade certification or EMC certification to set up 100 terabyte storage? You get a Supermicro box, Dell box, they support 16 drives, 48 drives, 3 terabyte capacity. You can easily get few hundred terabytes just by buying few machines. If you're thinking about 10 such boxes, you are talking about ultra high-end class hardware and a fraction of cost. So hardware is there, 10 gigabit or InfiniBand, all of them are today a commodity. The problem is you don't have a software stack that can make all of them look like one big NetApp. So we came up with an idea where it's a user space distributed storage operating system. Solve a lot of complicated problems, we got rid of metadata server, we invented elastic hashing algorithm, all that. But end of the day, this is what we told to the community and customers. It's us and competition, it's really common sense. Because we didn't come from the storage industry, we were fortunate because we didn't have any baggage. When we spoke to other experts, they all told, no, file systems cannot be in user space. Even Linus Torvalds just end of last year made a statement that user space file systems are toys. And you can imagine how even today's world people have so much of baggage. And for us, it is very simple. Does it solve real world problems? That's all it is, right? And you can see storage industry is still arguing fiber channel over Ethernet or iSCSI, which is going to succeed. And in reality, the fastest growing storage protocol is HTTP. It's the object storage protocol, right? Amazon S3 runs on HTTP. Google, Facebook, guys, actually Facebook is also now beginning to adopt cluster. When they try to solve the storage problem on their own, they actually use Java like high-level languages. On the other hand, the storage companies sold you on this is a complicated thing. That's why you need us. It's expensive. It's a modified some BSD-based operating system. They spend years and years, and then you pay for all that price. And it didn't make sense to us. Our idea was, you know how to set up a bunch of web servers or FTP servers. Many of the sysadmins today, they know how to do this. All these college kids fresh out of, they all run probably some Fedora or Ubuntu, Debian. They have limited experience, and that's all it needs to handle storage. We were actually seeing in 2006, 2007, but the first release we made, within 2 months, we saw Goldman Sachs sitting on our mailing list. And then slowly all these users were high-profile users. And they will call us and give us business. Like one of the largest deployment early on, Partners Healthcare, I don't know if you know them, they are the East Coast. They told us that we are a common IT hub for MIT hospitals. And they told us, what you are doing is just perfect. At that time, there was no cloud. Today, they are calling it healthcare cloud. They came to us and they told, we love what you are doing, but can you support Solaris? At that time, Solaris was alive. And it was open Solaris, actually. And Sun Thumper, and they told us, you are in user space. We should be able to port. And yes, we said, yes, we can. And then we ended up porting in a week, actually. And then same month, they took it to production. It is unheard of in the storage industry that writing a file system in 6 months, after you're porting to new operating system, people taking it into production. Why all this happened? Because we solved by design. We took fundamentally different approach to solving storage problems. That you can, we got rid of write buffers, we took it to user space, we kept the data on, the entire storage operating system was developed in user space. It maintained no state. Even if it crashed, the persistent data was sitting on a standard disk file system like XFS or ext3, whatever. We didn't care what the underlying disk file system was. It wasn't so useful. We just needed a way to store the data permanently. So even if you didn't you can completely uninstall our file system and get the data out and walk away. You don't even need to support us. Pay us. Our main idea was, if you want to make a customer sticky, set them free. More you set them free, they will be more sticky. They will love you, and that's how they are going to stick to you, right? Open source here was a very powerful way to do business. When it comes to data, we saw customers actually, when they came to us, basically they were already very familiar. They felt confident. We didn't spend anything on marketing, training, creating the huge knowledge base. It was like how people hate Microsoft Office, right? You use it because your friends send you Word documents or Office documents. In our case, it was similar, but they loved it. And our customers were going to trade shows, right, and presenting it themselves, writing blogs, and it was a community growing to 1,000+ members. We were much bigger than EMC and NetApp in this space now, because these are, even though they are all free, they were passionate. Even every single employee we hired, we didn't hire trying to get them from EMC. Actually, many of the storage guys we interviewed, they had baggage and we didn't select them. These guys, even we didn't try to look at Google or Facebook, trying to pay them even more. We didn't believe that, because if we paid them more, we will lose them the same way. So instead, every time we hired, we interviewed, we told them our story. We told them how it was, Office almost we had to rack mount our engineers many times. We hardly had space. In India, it's, our R&D center was entirely in India. And in India, it's hard to get even married if you are working for a startup. The guys like to show their parents, look at my office, so big, and I work for IBM, I work for Google, Groupon, and here, you can't even bring them to your office and show. So we told them the truth. This is what we are. We love hacking free software. It was a religion, and that's what worked. It's not about free software itself, right? There should be one strong reason why you succeed. And we always believed it was team. It's people who make the difference. And if you have a great team, they create great value for customers, business will automatically happen. And we told our story, and they believed in it, and they were all like-minded. They were like warriors, right? Even last man standing will fight to death, and that's the feeling we had. And a small team, but a great team. And I had to retention was the least of our problem. We had to force them to go home and take rest. That kind of team we built, and things were not even the customers, the community. Our community was not hackers and hobbyists. These were real high-profile customers, and they were our community. And they were today, people don't believe advertisements, right? But when their fellow sysadmin tells them that this is like Gluster. I love Gluster of it rocks. I install and I was able to set up 100 terabytes. They believe it. It's worth a lot more than paying some advertisement in Linux Journal or whatever magazines. And even strangers tweeting about it, writing a blog, people believe that. It's a very powerful way to spread. And open source was a very powerful means for us to spread the word. Our cost of operations was so low, nobody cared whether we had office or not and where we were. Customers, high-profile customers were calling us and giving us business. And what we realized was data is sticky, and anyone who really cares about the data, they care about their business, and they will come to us. And universities, customers, small-time box pushers, they're not going to pay because they don't make enough money themselves. It's okay for them to use it for free, because even Microsoft gives you free copies, right? Evaluation copies or free copies. Microsoft knows there are a lot of unpaid illegal installations, and they don't care. They want that installed base. We knew if we have to displace EMC or NetApp in this space, we have to get that critical mass. And open source allowed us to reach that in a very short period. It's actually a snapshot of our community. It's in fact an older one, the newer, and even this is just voluntarily registered deployments. The actual community was much larger, and the value we were generating, we were not worried about forcing them to pay any time. We know if the data becomes critical year to year, that's how. I was using Pandora, I was watching Netflix, I'm using a lot of these services, bots.net. I didn't know they were using us. And when the data became critical, they came to us and purchased subscription. And in fact, what is subscription? It's not even support really. I just went to sleep, it'll come back. It's not even support because they were very knowledgeable about how to use the product. And we didn't, we tried to make it as stable as possible. So they didn't even have to pay for bugs, right? It was really storage insurance. That's what we realized. That if you lose data, you're losing your business. So they paid us, so they felt great that they didn't download some stuff off of the net developed by a bunch of hackers. They now know that when things go bad, they have a reliable source that they can, so it was software updates, it was SLA-based support, basically it's just packaged. And it's the brand we were building, and we were as an established brand. CIOs will lose their job if they didn't pay for the storage stuff, right? So it became very clear, and things started taking off. Analysts started calling us that we are the Red Hat of storage, and we like that. And Red Hat is a great place for free software open source hackers to work. And then in 2008, 2009, Conwell told us that you guys are great to get VC funding, start scaling the company. It made perfect sense because what was ahead of us was basically our worst enemy was time. It wasn't NetApp or EMC. If we didn't make as number one in this player, there was no place for a storage company to be, yet another storage company, number 3, number 4, you have to be number 1. And it was very clear that we were not, actually, us and NetApp, we were operating in different space. They were operating in the enterprise data space, which is database, and we were operating in the unstructured data space, which is files and folders, lots of them. And in 2000, around 2009, 2010, we started basically we were able to claim we are the leading open source cloud file system. At that time, cloud and big data was just getting adopted. It didn't matter to us whether we called cloud or big data, but it was very clear that we were number 1 in the open source space. But nowhere closer to claim number 1 as a commercial company. But the value we generated was so huge, because now the actual number of deployments are large and it's growing now exponentially. It's just a matter of time they will all become customers. So the hidden intangible values were a lot. So that's why Red Hat acquired us for a good price. It was it was totally $161 million. We could have built the company much bigger ourselves, but Red Hat was strategically aligned, and we know in a short amount of time, like in just another 2 years, given the Red Hat's credibility as a brand for a storage company, Red Hat has executed this very well in the disruption of enterprise Unix operating system business. They have to just play the same game in the storage market. Storage should be a software problem. So it was all very well aligned, and it really became clear that we can win together, and that's why it happened. And today, so what's next? At Red Hat, basically, for me, it is important that I want to see this business grow. Red Hat is seeing that storage will be their next big business. If this can become bigger than their Red Hat Enterprise Linux business, that this can be a multi-billion-dollar market, and it is time that open source operating system companies step in and take the ground in the storage business. It didn't make sense for the old traditional enterprise storage hardware-based companies to run to own the storage market. So I'm now working in the office of CTO. It's once again fun, no pressure in terms of the entrepreneur side. I have